last week went out, they got some work, so now I'm back to starting role, and let's go out there and try to get a win.
What can be accomplished in the last 4 weeks?
There's a lot. We have to keep working hard for another win. I mean, it's been a long year, we all know that, but I don't think anyone's going to give up here, and let's just have fun and try to win another one.
Now, he looks better, I think, with the Fu Manchu than the full beard that he had in the Super Bowl. Neil O'Donnell starting for the Jets Sunday. Steeler fans have to be pulling for him because they need an Oilers loss to give the Steelers the division title.
I don't know that they're pulling for him this week, Guy. The Houston's 3 games back already. I think people around here want to see Neil take a beating, and he certainly has taken a beating. I'm surprised he wasn't more black and blue in that video. But he gets the last laugh on all of us when he goes to the bank.
That's right. A couple of NHL finals. Bruins beat Vancouver 7-3 this afternoon. They'll be in town tomorrow night. You can see the game here on Fox Sports Pittsburgh. The Bruins will, And Anaheim shut out Chicago today 2-0. All right, John from Wheeling, you're up next. Hi, John.
I want to talk about Barrasso, and I heard some trade rumors that he might be going to Detroit, and we might be getting Vernon, since it looks like he's going to be out for longer with that rotator cuff that they.
Why would Detroit trade Vernon for him, though?
I heard that on ESPN. That's what I heard, because they don't use Vernon. All they use is Osgood. They use Vernon maybe 10 times the whole year.
But then why? Well, maybe, but I don't know why you would trade for a guy whose most recent medical report is that he might be out for the year. Why would they give up a good backup goalie? What if Osgood gets hurt then, and then they're considering themselves a cup contender, and Osgood's hurt, and then they got Tom Barrasso as a backup who might be out for the rest of the year? I mean, I'm not saying, ESPN said it, that doesn't make it gospel, but to me, it doesn't make any logical sense.
Let's face it, the Penguins would love to trade Barrasso if they could. They'd love to, if for no other reason than to get rid of that big salary. But you're right, he's damaged goods at this point. They're saying minimum 6 to 8 weeks, maybe the entire year if he has surgery. And I used to be the biggest Barrasso fan in town, Guy, and it's hard to stay in his corner. You never like to accuse somebody of not being hurt, and obviously if he has surgery, we can't do that. But the timing of it sure was rotten. Reggett gets the #1 job, and suddenly his shoulder starts hurting. This is one of those deals where the guy's probably stayed here too long. They need to find a way to get rid of him, but with that salary, it's pretty difficult.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, John. Steve from North Hills. Hi, Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hey.
How you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Just a couple comments about the Penguins and then something about Pitt. First of all, the Penguins, the guy who said about the Barrasso deal, it wasn't Barrasso. It was just, in general, they said something about getting Vernon to back up Reggett because Reggett hasn't played more than 51 games.
Who said this?
It was on ESPN. It was reported on ESPN that they might be interested in Vernon to back up Reggett.
That would make more sense. You're not going to be able to trade Barrasso hurt.
And then
they tried to trade him healthy last summer, and no one was interested.
As far as watching the game the other night, Mario, his passes look kind of terrible for some reason. The first time in his career, and I noticed his passes look awful. And I don't know why he's playing like that, but he's not playing like he's capable of playing. Do you have any insight on that? Maybe it seems like he lost a little desire this year or something. Maybe just because Gretzky's in New York, that's the only reason why he's playing one more year.
It's no, I don't think that has anything to do with it. And you can't question. If you're not going to question a guy whether he's really hurt or not, it's impossible to question desire. But Ron, you can comment on this, but he has looked disinterested at times this season.
Well, I think it's been the big problem with the team, to be honest with you. I mean, he has not played very well all season long, and it scared me in the offseason when he took so long to decide whether he was going to come back. We heard all that garbage about they got to find me good players to play with. I mean, if he'd have played better in the Stanley Cup semifinals last year, they might have won the Cup last year. I'm just not sure how much he really wanted to play this season, and to me, it's just like he's almost waiting for the playoffs. I mean, I can't imagine this thing lasting, this funk lasting all year like this. Certainly when the playoffs come and the money's on the line, I think you'll see him play well.
Well, I think, last year he came back after the year off and was dedicated during the summer to the workouts and everything. I don't know that he did that this summer. In fact, I'm pretty sure he didn't. I think he waited so long, even after he said he was coming back, he took another week off before he actually reported to training camp. And I would tend to think that it's because, as he admits, he's lost a little half a step. I think he made up for that last year by hard work. I'm not sure that's exactly working this year. The team got off to a terrible start. He complained about them not following up on some of the rule changes and the changes in the officials' calls. And I think between him not liking the way the game was being officiated, combined with the fact that the team wasn't playing well, combined with the fact that he didn't put a lot of effort into the summer the way he did last year. I think all those things have added up, and suddenly he looks very ordinary. But I'd be real hesitant, to question his heart or his motives, though.
I'm not saying it's harder his motives. I know he wants another cup back, but just another thing is I have a friend who's affiliated with the Penguins, and he just says that altogether, even at this point of the season, they are just completely out of shape. They are not nearly the shape they were last year, and that's the same thing. You weren't on the program, but they just have no endurance at this point of the season, and they're late. I mean, I know Nedved being a holdout. Francis is getting a lot older. Mario wasn't sure what he was going to do, and then Smolinski, that whole situation. But with the younger guys, I think that's going to gel, and hopefully that brings in some continuity here for the rest of the season.
Well, you put all those things together. Jaromir Jagr works as hard as anybody in practice, but he had a bad experience with the World Cup. He was kind of going at it back and forth with the Czechoslovakian officials. They thought that, he didn't give his all to what they wanted. They had a very disappointed, didn't even make the medal round, and EJ was gone. You add all these things up, and and any one thing. No, there's too much talent here for it to affect them. But you add all those things up, the kind of question mark hanging over Tom Barrasso, and it is snowball. And I hope you're right in that the new people they picked up seem to have more of an enthusiasm and more of a work ethic, at least, and I hope they rub off on the older Penguins rather than the other way around.
I mean, obviously, Guy, the first quarter of the season was an absolute nightmare, but it was only the first quarter of the season, and nothing means less than 20-some games in the NHL when you still have 60 to catch up. I really think it's going to take a little time for some of these guys to gel. The Kasparaitis trade was a great trade by Craig Patrick.
They gave up nothing, Ron, and retooled a third of their
But it's going to take a few, probably a few weeks to get everybody going and getting everybody going in the same direction. I mean, I still think they're obviously a much better team than their record is. I still think they're going to be a force to be reckoned in the playoffs. But unless Lemieux starts playing a whole lot better, this team can't compete for the Cup.
Well, yeah, and just one quick comment. I know we have to go here soon. As far as the University of Pittsburgh goes, being a student, it's a disgrace that the football team is that bad, and even the basketball team. For a university that size, I don't think there's any excuse why they shouldn't have a top 20 program or top 10 at least every single year. I mean, that's just it's just kind of ridiculous, I find. And I don't know if you can comment on it, and I'll leave the comment and let that go.
Well, although the basketball team would play in North Carolina tonight and in UConn, and has a good shot, I think, of starting 0-4. I think we got to reserve judgment on them until they get a little more into their schedule. But at one time they were a top 20 team every year in football. And those days are gone, and it's very difficult to get them back because what they always had before to build on was the tradition, going to the bowl games and having a good team the year before. The facilities haven't been good for a long time, but when you have people like Dan Marino and Bill Fralick and Hugh Green to boast of, it's easy to lure a kid to go to school there to play football. Once those guys become ancient history and a new generation doesn't even really know who they are, there's not much else over there right now. I mean, it's a city school. The social life in the Oakland area has deteriorated to some point. There are people who don't want to send their female daughters to, I guess all daughters are female, right? They don't want to send their daughters over there because Oakland can be a rough place at night. And are all daughters female?
The last time I checked, they were. But your point is well taken, Guy. I mean, I think this is a great time for a new coach to come in. I mean, let's face it, Johnny Majors is a wonderful guy. He's as nice a gentleman as I've ever dealt with in this business, but he had to go. I mean, 11-32 speaks for itself. All the empty seats you're going to see at the game against Rutgers tomorrow speak for themselves. You have a new, young, aggressive athletic director coming in here. Bring in a young head coach that can recruit a little bit, that can keep some of these players in Western Pennsylvania that all seem to be flocking to Penn State right now. Those kids used to stay at Pitt. You mentioned the Marinos and Fralicks and those guys, Jimbo Coverts, all Western Pennsylvania kids that kind of followed Tony Dorsett and stayed at Pitt. Now they all seem to be going to Penn State. You get a young head coach in there, maybe he can end up keeping some of them here and slowly getting it turned around. I don't think it's a hopeless situation, but certainly it's a huge job, Guy.
Point I was making, Steve, is that when the football team was doing well, it's much easier to maintain than it is to rebuild. And there are other things outside of just, everybody wants to point to the coaches and the players as to why Pitt football has fallen on its hard times. I think you've got to go all the way to the top. Right. There's been constant turmoil from the president of the university, to the athletic director, to the coaches, and it isn't the same university to attend anymore that it was 20 years ago.
Well, I think Nordenberg definitely wants to win. He's the new chancellor out there, and I think image is important to him. And Pitt, obviously, its athletic program. Actually, the whole university guy actually has a real poor public image in Pittsburgh right now. I'm not sure if that goes back to Dr. Posvar. Certainly, Ed Bozick had his share of problems when he was the athletic director. I think you got a new leadership there now. I look for things to change for a positive direction.
I think his basketball team is going to be decent when they get healthy. If they
the
can
balloon's
survive.
off of Coach Willard already, though, isn't it? Two losses, and they're already yelling.
Well, the balloon's been off Mr. Monday Night most of this year. Not really. His Sunday best, the Chargers are playing New England. He says, take San Diego minus the 2. Ron and I'll be back in a minute. Well, it was kind of indiscriminate kicker week, or I don't know what you would call it, but those are the clues. David Trout, Booth Lustig, Gene Mingo, and Lou Michaels. And the guy who has nothing else to do in his life but sit around and keep track of such things is Steve Yurchik from Clearwater, Florida. So congratulations, Steve. You are a winner in the November name game contest. You get tickets for the Steelers-Chargers game coming up and a night at the Westin. The airline tickets or the drive, though, is on you. Ron, thanks for being here. Sorry we got the short show.
Steve's coming up here to Pittsburgh next week. I wouldn't mind taking his place in Clearwater.
That's right. Well, that's right. We'll do the show from Clearwater.
There
you come up and watch the game. Stan will be back Monday. We'll have our Steelers show. We have Penguins hockey for you tomorrow night on Fox Sports Pittsburgh. Tonight, it's the Cleveland Lumberjacks hosting the Detroit Vipers. Have a good weekend, everybody.
The following is a presentation of Fox Sports Pittsburgh.
Sunday night, the Cleveland Lumberjacks traveled to the Palace and ran into a red-hot Detroit Viper team. Jacks were outscored 4-0 in the first and lost 6-3. Derek Wilkinson again played well, but even the bounces went Detroit's way. Wednesday, the Jacks return home and beat the Michigan K-Wings 4-2. Tonight, the Jacks get another crack at Detroit. It's the Jacks and the Vipers, and it's coming up next. Live from Gund Arena in Cleveland, it's the Cleveland Lumberjacks and the Detroit Vipers as the Jacks try to avenge that loss at the Palace on Sunday. Hi, everybody. Tim Saunders saying welcome into Cleveland Lumberjack hockey action again. I'm alongside Bob Whidden as the Jacks take on the Vipers for the third time this year. The Jacks are coming off a victory at home on Wednesday. In fact, both these two teams really playing well of late. The Vipers are off to their best start in team history.
Well, not only that, but the Jacks have been playing very well, and they've got some injuries coming up that don't help. They got to have some young legs skating here. This is the first game of 3 games in a row, Tim.
You hate to start a broadcast and talk about the injuries, but it's unavoidable with this Lumberjack team with the list of injuries and that continues to grow. Stefan Bergfest, Callender, McElwain, Mikhailuk, Fitzgerald, and now...
I don't know what came over me. I didn't use...
And the Lumberjacks, you're talking about 7 key guys in your lineup that they're trying to have to play without.
Well, when you get the names that you read on there, these guys are veteran players except for Park, and they need them in the lineup. So one at a time, they've got to start coming back. Fortunately for the Jacks, they've got some depth where they can go down to their minor league system and bring up some pretty good hockey players.
Well, not only bringing up some guys picked up or helped fill the gap anyway. Jan Hrdina is third in the league in scoring among rookies. This was a TV game earlier this season. What a great play he made for this game-winning goal.
Well, it shows you the strength and the balance that Hrdina has behind the net and comes out. And this is a tying goal against Fort Wayne in a television game that we did earlier, Tim. And this kid has been playing extremely well. He scored another goal last Wednesday evening.
Detroit's got one of their own hot rookies, and we're talking about 18-year-old sensation Sergei Samsonov. Had a couple of goals against the Lumberjacks earlier this year, and this kid is one of several stars in this Viper lineup.
Well, they're loaded with some stars right from top to bottom. Their goaltending is strong. They've got a veteran defense, and of course up front, Todd Simon is not a bad hockey player to have.
Well, the Lumberjacks have been dealing with the adversity of the injuries, but one key guy on the spot, and this is the guy that they've really relied on throughout, is Derek Wilkinson, and this guy has really come to the table.
Well, Derek Wilkinson, the goaltender you're seeing right now, he's a strong player. He understands, and when you're a goaltender and you're playing all the time without any threat, you do seem to be playing a little bit more relaxed.
This was one of the scariest moments of the season in Detroit on Sunday. Wilkinson took a shot off the knee, and he was down on the ice for a little while. You talk about holding your breath. This is one guy the Jacks can't afford to lose.
Well, that's a shot he took right on the knee where there's just that little opening where you don't have any padding, and that smarts for a little bit, but didn't get him on the bone, just got him a little bit on the muscle, and he'll be ready to go this evening.
Wilkie will be back in there for the Lumberjacks, and we're going to get a little bit more insight on tonight's opponent because Rick Patterson has called them the best team the Lumberjacks have faced all year. And with that, Mike DePasquale is downstairs with assistant coach Perry Gancher.
Well, thanks, Tim. One of the hottest teams on the IHL ice right now, the Fire and Ice crew, are the Detroit Vipers, and with me is assistant coach Perry Gancher. And Perry, in their last 11 games, they're 9-1-1. It seems like Detroit right now is the team to beat.
Well, they certainly are. They're a very good hockey team. They're a very well-balanced hockey team. They have a little bit of everything. They have some good goaltending, good defense, and some very skilled forwards. So they're a very tough team to beat.
Perry, I know you scout Detroit often, and you know one thing about this team that surprises me, they center around a young Russian star.
Yeah, they have a guy by the name of Sergei Samsonov, who's a very, very skilled player, but very tricky out there, and he seems to get lost. He's a little guy, and sometimes gives us some problems. So we certainly have to keep an eye on him tonight, but along with some other players they have.
I know defense will be the key tonight, and last time Detroit was in here, the young Russian star had a couple of goals.
Yeah, we let him get free a few times, and he capitalized, and they're a team that does that. You give them a break, and they're going to capitalize on the opportunity. We have to stick to our game plan. We're coming off a very solid game against Michigan, and we have to continue that tonight and not make any mistakes.
Coach, good luck tonight. One key tonight, keep in mind that the Cleveland squad has been injury-riddled, and we'll keep our fingers crossed for a healthy game tonight. Back upstairs.
Thanks, Mike. This portion of tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Continental Airlines, the official airline of the Cleveland Lumberjacks, with more nonstop flights from Cleveland than any other airline. It's the Jacks and the Detroit Vipers here at Gun Arena tonight. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with the starting lineups and the opening face-off when we return on the Jacks Hockey Network.
The New York Mets go from 9th place to 1st place in only one season. It's been called the greatest turnaround in history. Until now. Continental Airlines, the highest-ranked airline for flights 500 miles and more in the 1996 frequent flyer J.D. Power & Associates study. Continental Airlines, more airline for your money.
No matter how well you plan for the holidays, some things you just can't plan for. Bulbs burn out. You run out of wrapping paper. You forget to pick up something for the paper boy. Well, don't panic. Your neighborhood Revco has everything you need, from tree trimmings and stocking stuffers to bows, ribbons, and tags, plus great gift ideas, too. So relax. We'll make your holiday turn out perfect, just like you planned it. Revco, a friend for life.
Cleveland Lumberjacks hockey is brought to you by Continental Airlines, the official airline of the Cleveland Lumberjacks. By Revco, a friend for life. By Marymount, when you need professional sports medicine and rehab, the Peak at Marymount gets you back in the game. By the Ohio Lottery, play Super Lotto because this may be your lucky day. By Sherwin-Williams, America's place for paint. By All Sport, the game will never be the same. And by the Cleveland Clinic, Cleveland's medicine specialists, the Cleveland Clinic will do for you what they do for the pros.
Good.
The Lumberjacks and the Detroit Vipers about to get going. Tim Saunders along with Bob Whitten. And before we get the opening faceoff, we have an opportunity, Bob, to have you run us through our Dodge keys to the game. And the Lumberjacks know that they've got to do a couple of specific things to be successful against a Detroit team who they lost to and lost handily to last Sunday in Detroit. Here they are.
Well, winning the battles along the boards by that, the defensemen are going to be pinching in from the Vipers, and you got to want to win those battles along the boards to get the puck out of your zone. The Vipers like to do a lot of zigzagging, a lot of crisscrossing in the neutral zone, and if you start chasing the puck carrier and you don't take care of your own wing, you're going to run into trouble. And of course, the Lumberjacks, a power play. Coach Patterson wants his players in the power play to shoot the puck. He's not looking so much for that pretty play. He wants some shots on goal, and he's been emphasizing it here the last couple of days in practice.
Stéphane Auger, the referee for tonight's game, drops the puck between the two centers, Serge Aubin and Peter Savaglia, and the Lumberjacks sets up Detroit in behind their own goal. Here comes Detroit. There's this Stéphane Auger with Kevin Mallon and Kelly Swigert, the two linesmen. Now Detroit has it on the line. Bobby G with a shot off the side of the net. Taken away by Derek Wilkinson, and then some pushing and shoving to the side of the goal. Peter Savaglia forced it off the moorings, and we'll get the face-off in the Cleveland zone. It's actually Jan Hrdina starting up front for the Lumberjacks with Brad Lauer and Mark Osborne, and this really has been the one line that has stayed together consistently through the injuries.
Well, the thing I like about this line is you got the two veteran wingers in Lauer and Osborne, of course, the rookie Hrdina playing at center.
The other lines, Christian Bonin and Patterson, and Aubin with Weidenbach and Savoya. Now Savaglia in to take the draw against Jan Hrdina. Hrdina third in the league among rookie scoring. Detroit won the faceoff. Back to Bobby G with a shot. Kicked away by Wilkinson back into the corner. And Detroit keeping the pressure on. The Vipers on Sunday started the game against the Lumberjacks with 15 of the first 16 shots of the contest, and scored the only 4 goals of the first period. Getting the early start is huge here tonight. One of the reasons for that is neither one of these two clubs has lost a game when they've led after the first period. Now here comes Detroit out of their own zone. Play it deep in behind the Cleveland net, and Detroit changes up on the fly. Ian Moran for the Lumberjacks skates out to his own blue line. Moran sidestepped the check at center ice and then dumped it into the corner, in behind the net. Rich Perrott, the starting goaltender for the Vipers, left it there for Brad Shaw. Shaw plays it past Brian Bonnet out center ice. Here come the Vipers. Simon will just lay it into the corner. Wilkinson steers that back into the corner, but Simonson is right there. Simon has it in the corner, spins out to the top of the circle, played it back to the right point, and Bradshaw failed to keep that in, and we're going to get the whistle and the stoppage of play, and the faceoff's going to come just outside the Lumberjack blue line. Todd Simon is their leading scorer. Here's a look at Rick Patterson, the Lumberjacks head man. And Rick Patterson in a foul mood lately, and no pun intended with Thanksgiving yesterday.
Yeah, very, very good. But one of the things that he emphasized, too, for his wingers, he wants them to come back down a little bit deeper into the zone.
Steve Lutzig, the former coach of the Muskegon Fury in the Colonial Hockey League, was the CHL Coach of the Year a couple of years back. And this is his first full year behind the Viper bench. We talked about Patterson being in a foul mood. Boy, with the adversity that this club has been faced with, I have never seen a team decimated with the number of injuries that the Lumberjacks have lately, and to their credit, they are fighting through it. The Detroit Vipers unable to keep it in the zone. The Lumberjacks play it out. Detroit, as you saw, has done extremely well in the all-time series between these two teams. In fact, the Vipers have won 16 of the 21 games that these two clubs have played. Now a lead pass onside on the far side is Marchot. He stood up, tried to avoid a check, taken off the puck by Peter Allen. The Lumberjacks have it again to Allen, and Peter skates ahead with it. Allen gave it off. Now the pass along the blue line to Christian was cut off, and Detroit turning with it. Sergei Samsonov, the rookie, a right wing pass. He got it onto the stick of Stan Trulli. It's broken up. Now Detroit up to the Lumberjack blue line again. Lead pass over to Stan Trulli. A drop pass. Samsonov right in the slot. Samsonov moving in and was stripped to the puck. Still bouncing out in front of the Lumberjacks coming over it. Here comes Andy Weidenbach quickly. He's a good skater. Goes down as I say that. And Ryan Savoy is out with him. Andy Weidenbach plays that into the corner. Chasing that down is Serge Aubin. He's held off there by Phil Von Stefanelli. Weidenbach got to it first in behind the goal net. Andy Weidenbach gave it off for Ryan Savoya. Now Savoya has it to the corner on the far side. Trying to dump it out in front. That's broken up by Detroit. Weidenbach's got it again on the near side circle. Serge Aubin behind the goal. His pass to Savoya was intercepted, and Detroit gets it out. Sampson off a rink-wide pass over on the far side. Now it's poked ahead into the zone as Dan Kessa dropped it there, and Ed Ward shot off the glove of Derek Wilkinson. Detroit will change up again. And the Lumberjacks slowly out of their own zone. Early going to the opening period, the Jacks and the Vipers are scoreless. Now Detroit shovels it over on the far boards. Bobby J avoids a check. Loose puck now in over the lines. Peter Savaglia had it set up in front, and Mike Donnelly unable to do anything with that. Mike Donnelly is the recent addition to this Detroit Viper team, assigned Wednesday by the New York Islanders. Almost had a great scoring chance out in front. Now the Lumberjacks in their own zone, bang it high into the slot. Here's a shot just wide of the net, off the end boards. It's still loose out in front. Peter Savaglia on the back end. Now pulls it out in front again. Finally took the shot. It deflected up over the goal. And the Lumberjacks dodge a bit of a bullet there. Ian Moran stick handles out of his own zone. Now right up the middle and plays it wide of the goal into the Detroit zone. Rich Perrott left it in behind the goal. Now the Vipers gain control of their own zone. Peter Savaglia shovels that ahead. And Detroit lays it back into the Cleveland end, and they change up. Now they pass up over the line. Don Hurtino with a shot. A save by Rich Perrott. The rebound squirted right out in front, but Detroit got away with it. Now Mike Donnelly tried to set it across for Peter Savaglia. And the Lumberjacks failed to pick that up in center ice. Up ahead, that pass for Simon was too far in front of him. Cleared to the line, kept in, and a shot by Simon knocked down by Hayward. Into the corner now. Detroit trying to keep it alive in the Cleveland end. And finally, Jeff Christian's got it, but we're going to get a penalty coming up, and I believe this is going to be a high-sticking call against the Lumberjacks. Time out on the ice. We'll take a break. Back after this on the Jacks Hockey Network.
Hang 10 in the 132 horsepower, 16-valve overhead cam, 4-wheel independent suspension, cab forward, gnarly Dodge Neon Coupe. Dude, say hello to Dodge Neon at your friendly Dodge dealer.
We have a Buddy Burger, funny fries, and a large Pepsi. No, that's a Buddy Burger. What? Forget the burger. All I really want is a Pepsi. 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 Yeah. Thank you. You need to get that intercom fixed.
You want to find the best way to get to Gund Arena for a Lumberjack hockey game? Here it is, RTA with their bus service and rapid lines. You can avoid the traffic and the parking worries. RTA, the easy way, the best way to Lumberjack hockey. Penalty to Rick Hayward. He goes off 2 minutes for high sticking, and so Detroit gets the first power play opportunity. Just 4 minutes and 28 seconds into the opening period. We're scoreless, but Detroit skates at 5-on-4. At the line, Phil Von Stefanelli got it over to Bradshaw on the far side, broken up by Eddie Patterson and sent down the ice. We'll set up this Detroit power play for you. Todd Simon is out there for Detroit along with Stan Prulia. Intercepted at center ice and almost knocked away from Bradshaw. Dan Kessa is also out there. Here a look at the power play numbers for Detroit. They're ranked 3rd in the league. The Lumberjacks 6th in the penalty kill. Broken up at center ice. Peter Allen shovels ahead now to Brad Lauer, short-handed with a shot. It scores! He got it by Rich Perrott. He got most of it, but not all. And the shot from outside the blue line trickles through Rich Perrott, and Brad Lauer has given the Lumberjacks the 1-0 lead.
What a shot by Lauer, a low shot that Perrott, of course, tried to get down in front of him, but Brad Lauer just blows it by him on a great shot, low shot. Perrott looked a little shaky on the first shot that he took today. Just inside the blue line, I don't see his screen. He goes down, it trickles between his legs, and just has enough on it to squeeze into the net for the goal, and a shorthanded goal for Brad Lauer.
7th goal of the year for Brad Lauer. That's the Lumberjacks' 3rd goal shorthanded this season, and it comes at 5:06 of the opening period. And the Lumberjacks jump in front early.
Yeah, you know, talking to Brad, he'll probably tell the guys in the bench, oh, I saw the holer. That's what I was going for. Untrue, of course.
Well, Detroit has scored first in 15 of their 23 games this year, but they're not going to do it here tonight. And the Lumberjacks go out to an early 1-0 lead. Detroit still in the power play, though. Von Stefanelli with a shot and a save by Derek Wilkinson. He's above the crease, had traffic out in front, but somehow picked that off and hangs on. The assists on the goal, the only assist goes to Peter Allen. And here's the look at that last shot by Phil Von Stefanelli.
And Derek Wilkinson standing at the top of the paint, seeing the puck all the way. They're trying to, of course, cause some traffic flow in front of Wilkinson to take his attention off of the puck coming towards the net, but he stood right up and accepted it right in the lower part of the abdomen.
1-0 Jacks with the lead. And you talk about a surprise goal. Not a good start for Rich Perrant. That's going to be tough for a goaltender to shake off.
Well, as I said, the first shot that went by, he just got a piece of it with his left toe.
Perrant has actually recorded the victory in 12 of the last 13 Viper wins. And he's among the league leaders in several categories. Now Detroit still with a man advantage for a minute 6. Along the boards on the far side now. They play it back out to the right point. Mike Donnelly shoveled it in. Now got it back. At the top of the right circle, they've got Samsonov out in front. Samsonov. Now comes near side Mike Donnelly. His shot and a save and the rebound. Squirts past Mike Donnelly. Savaglia dropped it back to the line now. Comes over near side to Savaglia. It's tipped. Back over to Peter Savaglia along the far boards. Now down low, they get it to Mike Donnelly. Out in front, it's actually Ivan Korovo out in front. Now a centering pass on the near side. It comes to Phil Von Stefanelli. Lays it back in behind the net. Korovo in behind the goal. To the corner to Savaglia. Now to Donnelly out of the point. Gave it up to Von Stefanelli, and Jeff Christian broke that up. Great puck movement by Detroit. This is why they're the third-ranked team in the power play.
They do move the puck real well, and they move it with authority.
Now Detroit out from behind their own goal. 10 seconds left. The penalty time to Rick Haber. Here comes Mike Donnelly in over the line. Sidestep to check, and knocked off his skates was Patrice Tardif. And the Lumberjacks rip it the other way. Penalty time has expired. Detroit with 2 shots on the power play. They've outshot the Lumberjacks 5-2, but the Jacks have the only goal. The short-handed goal by Brad Lauer. That's 1-0 Cleveland. Now Jim Pack starts out at center ice. He'll rip the shot into the glove of Rich Perrant. Not really a bad idea, is it, to make Perrant handle the puck?
Yeah, make him handle. Fire some long shots at him.
On the boards, off-hand, threw it right through the goal mouth. Over on the far side, Sven Butenschon kept it alive in behind the goal. Comes free for Allban. Allban trying to pull away from a check. Detroit picks that up, clears it to the line, but not out. Now they will bring it out. Simon a lead pass to Darren Banks, and he was checked by Peter Allen, and that forces the play in offside. Good play by Allen, though, to break that time up. We've got a timeout on the ice. The Lumberjacks with the only goal. They lead at 1-0, and we're back after this on the Jacks Hockey Network.
Really fun! Family fairs!
Get to all the big events on RTA.
The Lumberjacks on RTA.
The Rock and Roll Hall on RTA.
The Cavs on RTA. With every adult fare, only $1 extra for up to 3 kids.
That means an adult with 3 kids rides for $250 total.
Get to all the big events easily.
And save with RTA Family Fairs.
Uh-oh, I still have to get gifts for Uncle Bob.
The holidays, it's a wonderful time to lose your mind and go broke. But holiday shopping is easy at Office Max. Hey, it's the office products and holiday gift superstore. Yeah. With great stuff like Xerox work centers or compact computers at guaranteed low prices that will make you quite, joyous. So, shop at Office Max this holiday and save time, money, and very possibly your sanity. Office Max, holiday gifts to the max.
Jacks fans, Sandoz Pharmaceutical presents the Bet You Win sweepstakes. One lucky winner is going to get a trip for 2 to Las Vegas. Look for details at the Sandoz Pharmaceutical display at your local discount drug mart. Bet You Win from Sandoz Pharmaceutical. The Lumberjacks with a 1-0 lead over the Detroit Vipers. The Jacks scoring first for only the 8th time this year. And they've won 5 of the 7 before tonight. Now Brian Bonnet at center ice got it over on the far side. Christian over the line. Dumped it in behind the goal. It bounced away from Rich Perrant. Now to Bonnet on the near side circle. Bonnet is checked there in the corner. Bounces away from that man and still has the puck high in the zone. Got it over on the far side. Corey Foster will lead in. His shot back down in front. Bonnet a rebound. It's scored! Corey Foster, now they're going to wave it off. Foster finally pumped it in, but it's been waved off. And referee Stefan Auger
calling a penalty on the Lumberjacks.
Auger's getting some argument, but you're right. Jeff Christian's going to get a penalty, and we're going to have to look at this.
And an interference call on Jeff Christian.
Well, Corey Foster. Thought he had one.
You look at the problems that Perron's having around the net. He's all over the place. He looks like a whale out of water here, just floundering around. Christian was driven to the net. He's getting the penalty on that call right there, and he was driven to the net by the Viper player.
Well, you really couldn't tell. Oh, I see. Yeah. They're goaltender interference. They're saying Christian ran into Perron.
Right, but here he keeps going, and there's the defenseman taking him in, and Jeff just fires it right behind.
That's a tough call. He was written into him.
You're told and you're taught to go to the net. They're getting a change in goal here. The coach for the Ludwig does not like what he sees in Perron, so he's making a change right now.
Jeff Reese is going to come in.
Right.
And Reese has played in the National Hockey League this year. 3 games with the Devils. He was 0-2. 13 saves in his Viper debut. That was a shootout loss to Quebec on November the 20th. Assigned to the Vipers on the 14th of November. And Rich Perron is off to the bench. Now, some coaches would put the guy on the bench and let him think about it and bring him right back. But I think there was some real question in the Viper minds as to who would get the start tonight. And he's wasting no time getting Perron out of there. So Detroit comes out on the power play. Not only have they had that Cleveland goal waved off, but now they get the man advantage. They're second of the night. 2 shots in their first power play chance. 11:58 to go in the period. Detroit coming out of their own zone now. Bradshaw on the near side of Von Stefanelli. Gained the red line. Shoveled that into the Cleveland end. Into the corner. Dan Kessler was cut off. Jim Pack ties up Peter Savaglia. Now Mark Osborne with a chance to clear. He can't get it out yet. Poked away from him. Watched there by Stan Trulia. Now they play it back out to the right point, and it's intercepted at the line. A good play by the Lumberjacks. Brad Lauer. He's backing over the line. Lauer trying to pull away, and finally had it poked off his stick. Lauer in the corner now. He's got a man with him. Didn't drop it to Osborne. Now pinned in along the boards on the near side. And Detroit with a chance to take over. Squirts out between the circles, but here comes Phil Von Stefanelli. 57 seconds left in the power play. They rip it back in behind the Cleveland goal. Into the corner on the far side. Corey Foster failed to play it. Poked in behind the net. The Lumberjacks with a chance to clear. There's a big hit. And a penalty coming up. This is going to be on Ivan Corvo and Corey Foster. Boy, the Jacks have got to be careful. This is going to negate the power play for Detroit unless the Jacks even things up.
Well, a little check from behind and a little word. The words are going on. You're checking from behind. It was a dirty check. And, of course, the Lumberjacks stepped up for their teammates.
8:51 is going to be the time of this penalty, and I believe Ivan Corvo will be the only one that goes. And if that's in fact the case, the 46 seconds left on the Jeff Christian penalty is washed. And there you see Corvo taking a run of the Lumberjack. Eddie Patterson into the corner.
Well, with so many injuries lately in hockey with the checking from behind, this is what I would call a dirty check from behind. When you're off the boards about 3 or 4 feet, you have no protection whatsoever. Corey could have taken him in very easily by just simply putting his knee up to the back of Patterson and rode him into the boards. I don't think he necessarily had to charge him from behind as he did.
Ivan Corvo gets the penalty. He's only playing his 3rd game in a Viper uniform this year. He sat out the first 20 or 21 games with a groin injury. His first game back was against the Lumberjacks on Sunday, and he scored a goal. So it's a 4-on-4 situation now. The Lumberjacks give it up in their own zone. Ian Herbers dumped it out in front. Trying to pull away is Sergei Samsonov. Samsonov trying to spin away from Brad Lauer. Now the loose puck controlled by Todd Simon. Simon brings it back to center ice. Actually, it's Peter Savaglia. Shoveled it across his own blue line. Ian Herbers plays it back to Savaglia on the far side. He was cut off there by Brian Bonnet. And the Lumberjacks take over. Jim Pack plays that into the Detroit zone. Intercepted there. And the Vipers turn again with it. They got it to Samsonov. Samsonov turned away by Ian Moran. Now on the far side. Here comes Detroit back into the zone. Bobby J went down to the ice. Dumped in along the boards. Richard Pack, or Jim Pack, knocked it down. And Ian Moran with a chance in the corner now. Christian out of the box. So the Lumberjacks around the power play for 1:07. And the Lumberjacks in over the line. Moran gave it up to Osborne on the right side. Dropped it back to Ian Moran. Moran top circle. Took the shot. Threw track in front. Another shot. They score! Jeff Christian's going to get his 13th goal of the year. And the Lumberjacks on the power play take the 2-0 lead.
Again, Jeff Christian planting himself right in front of the net on the shot, the low shot. And he's got always has his stick low to the ice. This guy scores a lot of goals in that same position. The goaltender makes the first save. And it slides underneath the goaltender Reese, who was just put in here not too many seconds ago. He gets put out when his team was on the power play, and then shortly thereafter, one of his teammates takes a penalty, and he's now killing a penalty. The Lumberjacks come in and get their second goal of the game.
Ian Moran took the shot. Christian gets his 13th from Moran and Osborne.
He just continues to play good hockey and continues to score, this Jeff Christian.
Moran and Osborne draw the assists on the 13th goal of the year for Jeff Christian. He continues to lead the way for the Jacks' 25th point of the year. That's only his second on the power play this season. And the Jacks on Detroit quickly. And this is exactly what the Lumberjacks had hoped to do. Well, the Vipers came in here playing so well, 9-1-1 in their last 11. Now the Jacks have it again. Jan Hrdina over to Lauer. Lauer winds over the shot. And Reese may have gotten a piece of that. And along the boards, Mike Donnelly played it out to the blue lines, kept in by the Lumberjacks, but Detroit takes over. We played halfway through the first period. The Jacks have the 2-0 lead as they have outshot Detroit only 5-4. Now in behind the goal, Detroit trying to gain control. Actually, the Vipers have outshot the Lumberjacks 5-4. Stan Drulia has it in the corner, watched there by Jan Hrdina. Puck laid there loose. Hrdina went down, and we've got a whistle and a penalty coming up, and I believe this is going to be a tripping call against Detroit. I don't know about that one.
Well, when you're fighting for the puck, you might see a little tug here. You may see a little tug by Drulia as Hrdina pins him against the boards. Drulia fighting along. Here comes a stick down low.
No, good call.
He got him.
Good call. So Drulia is going to go off for tripping. The Lumberjacks get another power play chance. They are 1 for 1 with a man advantage thus far.
Drulia didn't like being pinned against the board by the rookie Hrdina, so he gave him a little tug.
Jacks 1 for 1 with a man advantage. Here's a look at Stan Drulia in the box. Drulia, of course, one of the top scorers for the Atlanta Knights last year. In fact, he was their leading scorer with 38 goals and 94 points. Jacks skated 5-on-4. We'll set up this power play for you. It's Bonnet up front with Eddie Patterson and Jeff Christian. Ian Moran to the point with Corey Foster. Moran will set up in behind his own goal. The Lumberjacks 1 of 23 in the last 5 games coming into play tonight. Good shot on goal. Reese juggled that, and now he's going to cover it up. The Lumberjacks, we told you, ranked 8th in the league, 18%. 0 for 10 in their last 3 games. So that power play goal was a welcome sight.
Well, not only that, but you saw it before the game, and one of the keys was that they had to shoot the puck on the power play. Ian Moran with a low shot from the point. Goaltender makes the save. Jeff Christian's right there for the rebound, and that's what Patterson has been preaching all along. Guys, we got to shoot the puck. We just don't have that many guys out there that can make the big play or make the pretty pass. So let's shoot the puck.
Well, and the Lumberjacks crowded the front of the net, too, and that was a big part of it. To look at the power play success at home. The other thing at Gund Arena, though, is the Vipers have always done very well here. They're 7-1-2 in this building. So the Lumberjacks had their hands full with the Detroit Vipers. And here come the Jacks out of their own zone, still in the power play, 4:20. To the side of the net, Jeff Reese left it there. Bradshaw ripped it around the boards, knocked down by the Lumberjacks. Now Brian Bonnet back out to the point. Corey Foster. Foster lays that into the corner for Patterson. Patterson is tied up there. The loose puck comes out to the circle, and here comes Detroit out. Mike Donnelly at center ice will lay it back into the Cleveland zone, and the Vipers change up. Minute to go in the power play. The penalty time to Stan Drulia. Moran dropped it back for Corey Foster. Headmanning the puck on the left side is Brian Bonnet. Bonnet trying to make the pass, and it's knocked away from Corey Foster. Foster unable to keep it in. Bonnet might have been better off shooting the puck.
Got to shoot the puck from there. You fight that far to get in. That's what you're looking for. Shoot the puck.
Jeff Christian with a shot knocked down by Jeff Reese, and the Vipers come out with the rebound at center ice. Peter Zavaglia heard Peter Allen coming, I think, and the puck trickles back into the Cleveland zone. 33 seconds left in the Drulia penalty. Now the Jacks ahead. They coming on the right side. It's Brad Lauer with a good hit of steam. Over the line with a shot. Reese juggled that. Bouncing puck out in front. Lauer couldn't get the handle on it. Lauer has it again into the circle. Back to the line. Peter Allen shot wide of the net. Penalty about to expire. Actually, it's got 15 seconds left. In the corner, Jan Hrdina now. Back to the point on the left side, Jim Pack. Pack over to Hrdina. They're going to play catch with it now. Pack winds up. His shot wide of the net. Peter Allen back on the right point. Lays that in behind the goal. Osborne unable to catch that. Jan Hrdina cut off the Detroit player. Squirts out in the circle. Penalty time has expired. And the Vipers clear it out. The Lumberjacks did manage 3 shots on that power play, though. And Peter Allen controls. 2-0 Jacks for the lead. 1 shorthanded, 1 power play. Now Hrdina over the line. His shot up high on Reese, and he knocked it away. And the Vipers clear it away. That might have shaken up Jeff Reese a bit. Now the neutral zone. Detroit backhands that deep into the Cleveland zone. Wilkinson out of his net, but he gave it up. Detroit's got it. Centering pass. Quick shot and a save by Derek Wilkinson. Another shot and a save. On the rebound, Savaglia left it there. The centering pass broken up by the Lumberjacks and out to center ice. But Peter Savaglia stoned by Derek Wilkinson. His best save early on. Now puck trickles back into the Cleveland zone. Sven Butenschot got it ahead. The Lumberjacks head back out with it. Andy Weidenbach in the right way. Plays it in behind the goal. Reese himself plays it back into the corner. Weidenbach caught up to that. Weidenbach put the hit by Bobby J. And we've got a penalty coming up. Delayed call against Detroit. Savoia in behind the goal now. He's got a man coming out in front. The bounces out to the line. Rick Hayward with a shot that hit a man in front. And Detroit is going to cover it up or touch up. And we get the penalty call. The Lumberjacks are going to go on the power play when we return here on the Jacks Hockey Network.
One look, and you can see how complex the back is.
If you need back surgery, you have some equally complex decisions. So you'll want a second opinion from a hospital known for its surgical expertise, the Cleveland Clinic.
Here, many of the world's best orthopedic and neurosurgeons use the latest treatments to relieve pain and get patients back on their feet.
So for something as complex as back surgery, the solution may begin with a simple phone call.
To the Cleveland Clinic.
In the NHL, the coolest game on earth, the pursuit of a goal is relentless. Here, Adam Oates patrols the offensive zone, searching for loose rebounds.
So we left you, huh?
Not even a note. He sees an opening and makes his move.
You want to talk about it? You know, people say I'm a good listener.
You're offsides.
It wouldn't be the first time.
I've taken off my jacket. I haven't put on a Jacks jersey, but a Cleveland Browns jacket, and for good reason. Kerry Buboltz with the Jacks. And Sunday, we're going to talk a little bit about Cleveland Browns football here at Gunda Arena.
That's right, Mike. We've got a great event. We've teamed up with the Cleveland Gridirons legend, and we're bringing in some great former Browns players: Dick Ambrose, Al Bubba Baker, Brian Brennan, Gerald the Ice Cube McNeil, Reggie Rucker, Cleo Miller. We got some great names from the past. We're going to bring them in courtesy of Bill Jack Dog Food. We're going to have a little fun and bring back the old Cleveland Browns history.
Blast from the past on Sunday, and keep in mind, Brian Brennan plays some hockey, no more football, but some hockey on his spare time. Back upstairs, you guys.
Jacks on the power play. Now Jeff Christian in the circle on the right side. Christian with a man out in front. That's Eddie Patterson. Took the shot right through Patterson. And the save by Reese in behind the goal. Patterson down on the ice trying to keep the puck alive. Got it to Christian. Centering pass. Quick shot by Ian Moran was wide of the net. Now Moran gains control again. Top circle near side. Left it there for Christian. Christian gave it up to Brian Bonnet. Bonnet goes out to the left point. Corey Foster settled it down. Got it to Ian Moran. Side of the net now. Christian a shot at the side of the goal. It's knocked away. Played that into the corner. Hurrying over there is Ed Ward, and he got to it first and cleared it all the way down the ice. Pretty good looking power play thus far for the Lumberjacks. 52 seconds left. And here come the Jacks out of their own zone. Peter Allen on the left side. He got it to Brad Lauer. Lauer tried to get it to Herdina. Dropped it along the boards. It's intercepted by Detroit, and the Vipers force it out to center ice. Good play, though, by Peter Allen to poke that back into the Cleveland end away from a Detroit player. Under 5 minutes left here in the period. 32 seconds left in the power play. Jacks with the only 2 goals of the period. Now on the right side, Peter Allen tipped it in over the line. Lauer tried to leave it there for Peter Allen. And along the boards on the near side, Von Stefanelli got a stick on it. The Jacks gave it in. Jan Herdina at the right point. Herdina with a man in front. Now we got it over to Jim Pack on the far side. Pack goes down low. It bounced away from Osborne. Jeff Christian, actually it's Lauer in the corner. He lost control, and the Vipers are going to clear it the rest of the way with 5 seconds to go on the power play. 4 minutes, 16 seconds left in the period. Penalty time has expired. The Vipers back at even strength, but Osborne's got it in the corner. Osborne, a centering pass out in front, broken up by the Vipers, and out they come. Jacks with 2 shots on that power play chance. Now in over the line on the near side, it's Ed Ward. Ward trying to dump it out in front for Mongeau. It's knocked away from him. Into the corner on the far side. Now Herdina got a stick on that. Behind the goal, they try to dump it out in front. Detroit trying to keep the pressure on deep in behind the goal. Darren Banks battling for it. Jim Pack trying to strip him with a puck, and off. Banks gets the elbow up high on Jim Pack. Pack unable to gain control. Back to the line it goes. Detroit knocked it out in front. Now high on the slot coming is Bradshaw with the backhand shot. He scored. Bradshaw got his own rebound, as it were, off of Serge Aubin, and then came down the slot and slid the backhander by Derek Wilkinson. Some good action by Brad Shaw on a nice play.
Well, you got to get the puck out over the blue line. We've talked about it many times before. When you get the puck at least within 5 feet of your own blue line, it's got to come out. And they just got a little bit careless in their own end, and the Jacks are going to pay for it now. With 3.5 minutes to go in this period, they're giving up a goal that you did not, this late in the period, want to give up.
16:25 is going to be the time of the goal, the first of the year for defenseman Brad Shaw.
Brad Shaw is not a goal scorer by any means. Somebody should have been all over him.
So the Lumberjack lead cut in half fairly late here in the opening period. Now Ian Moran stepped back in over the line. Moran just failed to get by Bobby J. Into the corner, tipped it in behind the net. Ian Herbers cut it off before it got to Brian Bonnen. Now Jay in the corner. Here comes Detroit on the attack. Now on the far side, Dan Kessler ripped it around the boards. In along the boards on the near side, and Detroit unable to keep it in. They've got to scramble back into their own zone. Behind the net, Ian Herbers in the corner. Tipped that up the boards on the near side. Now comes Detroit. On the move is Todd Simon. Simon left it there. In over the line is Bobby J. His centering pass intercepted Christian. And he bangs it off the glass and back into the Detroit zone. Under 3 minutes to go in the opening period. 2-1. Jack still with the lead. Now it's center ice. Detroit plays it deep into the Cleveland end. Around the boards. Brad Lauer knocked it down along the boards. He's pinned in there. They kick it free out in front, but the Jacks take over. And Mark Osborne lays it to center ice. Verdina got a stick on that back into the Detroit zone. And the Vipers there to take over. Jeff Parrott in behind his own goal. Checked there by Brad Lauer. The Lumberjacks trying to force the turnover. Herdina's got it out in front with a backhand shot. Knocked away by Jeff Reese. Herdina taken to the ice. Kept into the line momentarily. Now Herdina plays it over on the far side into the corner. Intercepted there by Jeff Parrott. Now Brad Lauer bumped with him. Lauer trying to keep it alive. Osborne gets into the fray in the corner. The Lumberjacks out in front, got it into the circle to Herdina. Dropped it to the corner. Lauer is tied up there. Osborne there to play the loose puck though. Lumberjacks keeping the pressure on now. In the corner, Jim Pack cuts out in front of the side of the net now. And a penalty coming up. I think this may be against Jim Pack for goaltender interference. We got a penalty coming up to the Lumberjacks. The Vipers are about to go on the power play when we return on the Jacks Hockey Network.
Give me 5 this minute, hey, give it to me. I'm ready to play, got that winnability. I wanna play, give me 5. I gotta play, Buckeye 5. Okay.
Feel lucky today? Play the Ohio Lottery's Buckeye 5. Just match 5 out of 37 numbers and you could win $100,000.
Give me 5 right now, Buckeye 5.
Our family started brewing in Germany, near the Rhine Valley, more than 200 years ago. The traditional way of brewing is, to us, still the best way.
Family brewers, with a tradition of fire brewing for a richer, more flavorful beer. Stroh's, fire brewed for more taste, more character.
The best beer we know how to make.
Back to live action, 2-1. The Lumberjacks with the lead, but now they're shorthanded. Detroit on the power play. Jim Pack in for goaltender interference. Out to the left point, Mike Donnelly. Donnelly gave it up to Todd Simon on the near side. Simon top circle. Now goes down low. Into the corner, got it back from Samsonov. Back out to the line. Donnelly over on the far side. It bounced away from Brad Shaw. Also out there is Dan Kessa for Detroit. And the Lumberjacks tip it all the way back down the ice. Vipers still with a man advantage for a minute 21. There's Jim Pack in the penalty box. Now Donnelly stripped to the puck by Brad Lauer. Lauer shorthanded. He's got one already that way tonight. And unable to get free at the side of the goal. Has it in behind the net momentarily. Now it's poked back into the corner. Shaw plays it ahead. And Detroit on the move again. On the near side, Simon got it free. And a quick shot by Ivan Korobov. Knocked away there. Derek Wilkinson. And the Lumberjacks finally pick it up and bang it all the way back into the Detroit zone. Under a minute to go now in the opening period. 2-1, Jacks still with the lead. Vipers change up on the fly. Here's Von Stefanelli out of his own zone. Up ahead, that play just barely onside, and Sergei Samsonov unable to control. In the corner, he bumps his man off the puck. Drulia back out to the line. Ian Herbers goes over on the far side. A quick shot by Von Stefanelli off the end boards. Peter Allen picks it up, and he'll ice the puck all the way down. Not ice it because Detroit's still in the power play. Relieves the pressure with 20 seconds to go in the period. Now Von Stefanelli out from behind his own goal up the right side. Gains the center ice red line. Still carries in over the line. Moving right in on Wilkinson with a shot. A save there by Derek Wilkinson. It's still loose out in front. The Jacks poke it into the corner. 8 seconds to go in the period now. Ian Herbert tried to dump it out in front. Trulia failed to control that. Simaglia's got it. Centering pass and a save. The rebound. Oh, and another save by Wilkinson just before the buzzer. What a save the Jacks goaltender comes up with there to make the 2-1 score after 1 period of play, and Rick Patterson's just got to be shaking his head.
How can so much happen with so little time left in the period? He makes 2 great saves with less than 2 seconds to go in the period.
And I think that last one's going to be our save of the game. Wow, what a save by Derek Wilkinson. We're after 1 period of play now. Here's that last save, tipped by the Detroit player with one hand on his stick. It was Trulia, and Wilkinson acrobatically got the glove up and made the save. Here's another look.
A great move across and the little tip. And watch Trulia just gets his stick up and trying to poke it up over top of him, and there he had already made the save, and there's bodies all over the place.
That kept it 2-1, and that's how the first period ends. The Lumberjacks on top of the Detroit Vipers after 20 minutes. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with a recap of that first period after this on the Jacks Hockey Network.
Things in life can change like that. All that work, and it's gone. But Farmers Insurance can help you get things back to the way they once were. From policy planning to the handling of claims, everything revolves around getting you back to that point. Isn't that what insurance is supposed to do? Hey, things like this happen. But with Farmers, we can help get you back where you belong.
You don't have to be a pro athlete to need sports medicine and rehab. Sure, a lot of the people you see in the Peak at Marymount make their living on the playing field, but a lot of them don't. They're firemen and architects and moms too, and they all have the same thing in common. They need to get back on the job. For professional sports medicine and rehab, call the Peak at 663-0080 and get back into action. Sports Medicine Center of the Cleveland Crunch and Lumberjacks.
Where do you go when you want today's hottest dance hits on one unbelievable album? You go for the ultimate with Arista's Ultimate Dance Party 1997. Never before has there been a dance collection with this many hits and this much heat. Over 70 minutes of non-stop electricity. Ultimate Dance Party 1997 is available exclusively through this awesome TV offer. Cassette $12.98, CD $17.98. These are the hits you want to hear. Every one a certified dance smash. Don't wait another night. Order Arista's Ultimate Dance Party 1997 now and get the party started.
Back on the Jacks Hockey Network, Tim Saunders along with Bob Whitten. We're through 1 period of play here at Gunda Arena, and the Lumberjacks have the 2-1 lead over the Detroit Vipers, a Detroit team that has been red hot of late. They have scored first in most of their games this season. For the Jacks to get the first 2 in the first period was huge.
Well, a big shot by Brad Lauer on that shorthanded goal, and you could tell that Perrant was struggling right from the onset. And then, of course, they made the switch, and the Lumberjacks come right back again and made it 2-0 on a power play. But then they let them back, the Vipers back in the game late in the period, and could have very well had scored another goal had there been another tick on the clock.
Yeah, Derek Wilkinson, a great save at the end of the period to keep it 2-1, the Lumberjacks. Take a quick look at our first period Revco scoring summary. You see the 2 early Detroit goals, or the 2 early Jack goals. Brad Lauer, maybe a gift on Richard Perrant's part, but Perrant not in there very long. Jeff Christian's goal on the power play, a good look at the Jacks power play. You talked about it. They finally got going and started doing what Rick Patterson's been trying to get them to do.
And that's what he wanted. He wanted them to shoot the puck and go to the net for the rebounds. They don't have the fancy hockey players on the ice. They don't have the Jack Collanders out there right now, and they need guys shooting the puck, especially from the point where they can cause some traffic in front of the goaltender.
Brad Shaw got the only goal for Detroit. That was his first to make it close, but the Lumberjacks, despite all the injuries, and we listed them for you, 7 key guys out of the lineup tonight, the Jacks still have the 2-1 lead after 1 period of play. We'll take a break here in our first intermission, and when we return, we'll have a chance to visit with Mark Osborne of the Lumberjacks, and we'll do that after these words on the Jacks Hockey Network.
Mary Lou, Shayla, smile. With all the care you put into taking those pictures, bring your film somewhere that'll put as much care into developing them. Your Revco drugstore. We offer premium film processing. You'll get your pictures back the next day, or they're free. You'll get the sharpest, brightest photos and index prints. Organize all your photo memories.
Daddy!
Revco, a friend for life.
I'm Brian Brennan of the Cleveland Gridiron Legends, inviting you to retain the legacy of the strongest tradition in professional sports history.
Hello, I'm Cleo Miller. And I'm Reggie Rucker.
And I'm Dick Ambrose. Join us at the Jacks game December 1st and relive the memories. See hard-hitting professional hockey action and get autographs from former Cleveland football greats.
Tickets on sale now at Gund Arena, Ticketmaster, or call 241-5555.
We'll see you at the Jacks game.
So you've chosen to be your own boss. Running your own business means doing what you love, and doing what you do best, except one thing you don't love one bit: doing the books. Well, now you can say goodbye to your bookkeeping hassles forever, because the makers of Quicken have invented QuickBooks, the #1 selling accounting software that makes it fast and easy to do the things you don't love doing, like paying bills, writing invoices, figuring out what your customers owe, even tracking inventory and doing payroll. QuickBooks makes it all hassle-free. How's this for fast information? A click, and QuickBooks shows you this quarter's income and expenses. And look, a few keystrokes, and QuickBooks does your invoicing for you, and then does the bookkeeping automatically. So you can get back to doing what you do best, growing your business. It's even easy to try QuickBooks. Call now to get a trial version absolutely free through this special limited-time TV offer.
The number is 1-800-587-6644.
2-1, the Jacks lead the Detroit Vipers after one period of play. Earlier, we got a chance to sit down with Jacks defenseman Bill Armstrong, and Bill talks about coming to the Lumberjacks after spending most of his career in the American Hockey League.
Bill, talk a little bit about the difference in leagues. Is the IHL, in fact, a higher level of play?
I think it is. I mean, in the A, it was a little different. You have younger kids right out of college, and they tend to run around, and it's a little more physical, actually, in the A. And the I, it's a little more experience. You have the seasonal veteran, as we'll call it, and you have that in the I. And he's a little more experienced, and he's a little smarter, and it's a little different game. I think I didn't get as physical maybe as I should have last year, is because, you know, you tend to get left alone in the I. You know, in the A, you have young kids challenging you all the time. So it's a little, it was a little adjustment for me.
When the season ends, guys go their separate ways, and we don't see them oftentimes for several months. You come back, and you look like a different guy. You've shed some pounds. Talk a little bit about your regime during the summer.
Well, mine was an unusual off-season experience because I bought a house, and it was a money pit. And that's why I lost so much weight, because I was running around trying to, you know, do everything before I left, and it was just a very hectic summer. And I ended up keeping in pretty good shape all summer, and right about a month before I left to come here, I just started running that, and really kind of picked up my level of intensity.
How is that going to affect you on the ice? More mobility, you think?
Oh yeah, losing 25 pounds tends to make you a little faster. So and I had a little. I've started eating better and that kind of stuff. I think as you get older, you know, you realize that Burger King and McDonald's are not a really good pregame meal. So my eating over the last couple of years got a little better.
Real quick, defensively, if there's one area that this team has to focus on, it's team defense. And again, the key word there is team. But I assume you'd agree that's the area that the Jacks have to focus on.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's a team defense. It's not just one guy that's going to stand out there. I mean, it does help to have a solid goaltender in net, but with the Jacks, I mean, we have to play team defense. Everybody has to be on the same page, and that's very important for us.
Bill, again, you look great. Good to have you back the second year. And
well, you look great too, Tim. Just absolutely.
That's Bill Armstrong, the Jacks defenseman. It's 2-1, the Lumberjacks on top of the Detroit Vipers after one. We'll take a break and come back with more in our first intermission after this on the Jacks Hockey Network.
From behind the wheel, you might think of Dodge Caravan as a car. Probably because in some ways it is. Its cab-forward, wheels-to-the-corners design makes it stable and sure-footed, a lot like a car. Its advanced suspension makes it nimble and agile, a lot like a car. With all the utility of a spacious four-door van, all of which suggests we got the name right. Caravan. Just as original as the original.
If you can grow it, we can shave it. Take the Remington Challenge.
the Remington Triple Foil, the only shaver with 3 flexing microscreens to cross-cut each whisker 3 times. Take the Remington Challenge. Find out what smooth, close, and comfortable are all about.
Fox Sports Pittsburgh brings you Playoff Fantasy Football Weekly. Join Norm Hitchkiss and Steve Silverman for the roster moves, sound bites, profiles, tips, and the Fantasy Player of the Week. Playoff Fantasy Football Weekly, Thursday night at 12 midnight on Fox Sports Pittsburgh.
Tim Saunders along with Bob Whidden. 2-1, the Lumberjacks on top of the Detroit Vipers after 1 period of play. And Bob, we said how important it was to get out in front early. Neither of these two teams have lost a game when they've led after the first period. I'd say that's an important stat.
Well, it certainly is. People don't realize that, because when you go in the dressing room after you've been had that kind of a stat going in, then you know how to play the rest of the hockey game. The coach doesn't have to go in and make any tactical changes. You're ready for what's expected of you the next 2 periods.
Pretty important, too, after the way Detroit handed it to the Lumberjacks on Sunday at the Palace. If for no other reason than psychologically to prove to yourselves that you can skate with this club, an important first period for the Jacks.
Well, not only that, but the Jacks were a tired hockey team last Sunday. They, too, remember that game. They, too, want to show the Vipers that, hey, you can't push us around, especially in our own building. You better not be able to push us around.
Let's take a look at the numbers after the first period. A lot of the numbers in terms of certainly shots on goal, pretty close. But the Lumberjacks took advantage advantage of the 15 or the 14 shots that they had, albeit one of them was, I don't want to say in the cheap variety, but that shot by Brad Lauer, you don't expect that to go in.
Well, at the end of the year, Tim, they don't ask you how, they ask you how many.
No question about that. Jacks with 6 shots on their power play, and that's another thing. Bob, the power play has been struggling. 0 for the last 10 in the last 3 games. The fact that they do get a power play, and I thought their other power plays didn't look bad.
Well, and you know, the toughest thing on the power play is getting the puck in the other team's zone. That's one thing that the Lumberjacks have been doing well, especially this evening. Then Rick Patterson said, look, when we get the puck in there, let's not move it around too much. Let's take some shots on goal and good things will happen. And that's what happened on the power play. And they had some other good scoring chances, and a goal was disallowed, recall, because of a goaltender interference, and that too was on the power play.
And the Jacks have had 2 goaltender interference calls. That means they're going to the net strong, and hopefully that's a good sign of things to come. Take a look at our GT out-of-town scoreboard, actually our Stroh's What's on Tap, other games in the IHL tonight. Phoenix and Long Beach on top of that one, 3-1. Fort Wayne and Grand Rapids tied at 1 in the second period. That's in Grand Rapids. No score out of Michigan. That's a big game for the Lumberjacks as they come into tonight's contest, just a point back of the K-Wings, and with 2 games this weekend coming up against Michigan. Milwaukee and Chicago scoreless, so too are San Antonio and Manitoba. Utah starting with Kansas City a little later on tonight. Here at Gund Arena tonight, it's 2-1. The Lumberjacks with a 1-goal lead after 1 period. We'll take another break, and we'll come back with more here in our first intermission after this on the Jacks Hockey Network.
Every day at Continental, over 115,000 inspectors board our flights. Our customers, people just like you. So we've been paying extra attention to detail. We're keeping our cabins sparkling. And not only are we serving food on more flights, we've made it better. So fly us again. You'll like what you see.
Cleveland Lumberjacks hockey at Gund Arena is fast-paced family entertainment at its best. And with ticket plans starting at just $176, you can be closer than you've ever been to the action. Be part of the bone-jarring hits, breathtaking goals, and vicious slap shots of the International Hockey League. Plus all the excitement you've come to expect from the Jacks, including the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, the famous chicken, and valuable giveaway events. Call 420-0000 for ticket plan information. Jacks Hockey, hot winter nights at Gund Arena.
2-1, the Jacks on top of the Vipers after 1 period of play. We're going to look at our first period highlights. The Jacks got the first goal of the period. Brad Lauer, this is shorthanded, and a shot by on Rich Perrant that he kind of let squirt by.
Right between the legs, Perrant went down. I think he's probably confused. Should I use the glove or use my pad? And didn't make the right decision.
Then on the power play, Ian Moran at the top of the circle, out of the right point, took the shot, and Jeff Christian right there for the rebound. And bangs it by.
Again, you've got 2 Jacks in front of the net. Ian Moran gets the puck through. Goaltender makes the save and a good shot.
Brad Shaw knocked down a clearing attempt and brought it out in front and let the backhander that beat Derek Wilkinson. That made it 2-1 after 1 period of play. Now Mike DePasquale is standing by downstairs with Rick Patterson. We have just gotten word that Tom Barrasso has been ruled out for the rest of the season, and I'm not sure if Rick Patterson is even aware of it. So perhaps we can find out from Mike DePasquale. Mike?
Well, I'm going to ask Coach that question first about Barrasso being out for the entire year. Have you heard about that yet, Coach?
No, I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know if that's the truth or not, but I know in Pittsburgh we don't talk about injuries, and I'm not going to.
What do you go about that, Tim? Let's go back to tonight's game. Before the game, people were saying, is there a doctor in the house with all the injuries? It seems like, at least in the first period, you came up with a remedy to be on top 2-1.
Well, the guys have picked it up, certainly, and we're all tugging on the rope. We certainly are depending on guys that haven't played with a lot of ice time before, and so far so good. We've got 40 minutes left against a good hockey team, so we'll see what happens.
Coach, a good formula so far. Good luck in the second period.
All right, thanks very much.
There you have it, Coach Rick Patterson, and no news on Barrasso yet. So, Tim, we'll throw it back upstairs.
Yeah, well, that was probably unfair to throw that at RP that quickly, but we've just been handed a note up here in the box. And granted, Rick is right that we don't talk about Pittsburgh injuries. Those are their problems, but certainly it's going to have an effect here. It looks like Patrick Lalane may not be headed back here anytime soon, though, if in fact Barrasso is done for the year.
Well, I'm not even sure. Does anybody know what Barrasso's shoulder injury will create some openings and get some good shots on goal? This is a very well coached and a very disciplined hockey club.
Associated Press, we're told, is running the Tom Barrasso story. They're saying 6 to 8 weeks. What the information we've gotten here in the press box tonight, it could be longer than that. It'll be an interesting story to watch, and certainly it means Derek Wilkinson will continue to be the man on the hot seat and have to continue to play well. He's certainly done that. Jim Pack now at center ice, threw it over on the far side, knocked down on the Detroit blue line, but that's going to be ruled, I believe, a 2-line pass, and the faceoff will come back into the Detroit end. Well, as long as Wilkinson is going to be there, I don't think the Lumberjacks are in bad shape in terms of goaltending, and that just goes to show you what a big move that was for Larry Gordon to work out this summer.
Yes, it certainly was, and Larry's relationship with the Esposito brothers down in Tampa Bay certainly pays off in this instance. And then, of course, Tampa Bay goes out and gets Tabaracci to back up Schwab until for their goaltending. It'll be interesting to see what happens here in the next couple of weeks as far as the goaltending situation goes.
Faceoff's just inside the Detroit zone. The Lumberjacks control that. Play it back into the corner. Bounces to the side of the net. Brad Shaw controls. Skates it out the far side. Up ahead. He got it in his own end. Now at center ice. He jumped over the stick of Stan Trulia. Trulia is out there with Peter Savaglia and Sergei Samsonov. Now intercepted Lowry. He's got a man with him. Lowry took the shot wide of the net. Osborne tipped it back to Lowry behind the goal. Another centering pass. They score! And hit Jeff Reese in the pad and then squirted between his skates. And Brad Lauer's got his second goal of the night, and both have been on the fluky variety.
Well, he was trying to get the puck out in front, and it went off the goaltender's skate. And that's a veteran play by Brad Lauer. Osborne behind the net. He's got the Herdina in front, and he's going to just fire it right out in front. And it may have gone off a defenseman's skates and changed directions on the goaltender Reese, where he couldn't make the play. And you see Reese in the background going, oh my God, what do I got to do here tonight? Here's the shot. Fires it right at him. You've got to turn square to the puck, and Reese was not square to the puck. He was anticipating the pass to go out in front.
8th goal of the year for Brad Lauer. Again, he's got 2 tonight. If it hit anything, it would have been Dirk's skate. But no excuse, as you say, Jeff Reese, a cardinal sin he broke as far as not being square to the puck. And Detroit now down by 2 again. The Lumberjacks tip it out to center ice. Here comes Jeff Christian. 3-on-2 with the Lumberjacks now. Christian in over the line. That play looked close to being offside. Quick shot from the right point. In over the line, into the corner, and the Jacks put it right through the goal line. Another shot from the right point, kicked away there by Reese. Now Eddie Patterson took the bump along the boards to the far side into the corner. He's held in there. Bill Von Stefanelli's got him pinned up against the boards. The Lumberjacks pull it out. Brian Bonnen out in front with the shot. A save by Reese. Bouncing puck into the corner, back on the far side now. Poked in behind the goal for Jeff Christian. Christian left it there. Now trying to tip it free for Bonin. Bonin pulling away from a check in the corner near his side. Stripped to the puck, and Detroit clears it out to center ice. Here comes Dan Kessa trying to catch up to that. Peter Allen hurried over to play it. And Allen lays it ahead. Now Bonin at center ice. Didn't see that coming. Now Simon. Simon high on the slot. Check before he could get the shot off. Coming late. Sergei Samsonov. And steered away by Wilkinson. Off the boards. The Lumberjacks. Jeff Christian tipped it out to center ice. All the way back into the Detroit end. Icing waved off. We play just about 2 minutes of the second period. The Lumberjacks with an early goal here in the second to take the 3-1 lead. Now at the Detroit blue line. Serge Aubin has Pack backhands that up to the boards, or up the boards, and it squirts out. Here comes Serge Aubin. He's with Weidenbach. Aubin shot kicked away. Weidenbach unable to get to that rebound. And the Vipers head back the other way. Ed Ward is checked. Loose puck at the side of the net. Detroit trying to gain control in the corner on the near side now. Corey Foster tied up his man. Jim Pack turns and comes back the other way. Pack plays it off the stick of Serge Aubin. And Phil Von Stefanelli headmans the puck over on the far side. Trulia rips it in behind the goal. And the Lumberjacks with plenty of time to bring it out of their own end. Right wing pass, bouncing puck on the far side. Almost got to Mark Osborne. Osborne tried to keep in a clearing attempt. And now it slides back into the Cleveland zone. We played 3 minutes and 5 seconds of the second period. Now in over the line, Hrdina. He took the shot, had it knocked down in front, and Trulia dumped it out to center ice. Here comes Detroit back the other way quickly. Played that into the corner. Osborne tied up his man. Puck knocked into the corner. The Jacks got it to Brad Lauer. Lauer tipped it out center ice. And back to play it for Detroit. Trulia over on the far side now. Dirk will rip it around the boards. Behind the goal on the near side. Bumped there by Drew Palmer. Simon went down. Actually, it was Savaglia in behind the goal, deep in his own end. Hrdina can't control. Bouncing puck, and Savaglia unable to control that. And it comes back out to center ice. Now Brad Lauer turns with it. Trying to pull away from a Savaglia check. Left it for Osborne. He dumped that into the corner on the far side. The Lumberjacks change up on the fly. And Detroit plays it ahead to center ice. Intercepted Peter Allen. Allen lays it back into the Detroit end. Reese replaced Rich Perron in the first period after the Jacks had gotten a 2-0 lead. Now it's tipped into the Cleveland end. Puck knocked to the corner after Rick Hayward collides with Darren Banks. Now the puck out to the side of the net. Banks has got it in behind the goal. Threw it right through the goal mouth. Eddie Patterson takes it off his own skate. Banks it to the line. Not out. Detroit keeps it in momentarily. And now Peter Allen with a chance to clear. And gets it out center ice. Detroit back at their own blue line. Poked away from Bobby J. Now Jeff Christian's got Bonin out in front. Dumped the pass, and Bonin couldn't get his stick down. Eddie Patterson failed to control in the corner. Detroit into the corner. Almost gave it up to Brian Bonin. Darren Banks has it pinned in along the boards. Now Eddie Patterson. Patterson kicked it to Jeff Christian. He's tied up there by Phil Von Stefanelli. Christian pulled away from that. Left it there in the circle for Bonin. Bonin into the corner for Eddie Patterson. About 5 minutes into the second period. Patterson tied up there by Bobby J. Loose puck to the right point. Peter Allen shot knocked down. Down comes to Rick Hayward. Hayward, top of the circle, threw it out in front. Bouncing puck there. Christian with a backhand shot and a save. And the rebound kept in. Rick Hayward threw it at the front of the net. Patterson with a shot. That hit a skate in front. Brian Bonin, backhand shot wide of the net. Kept into the right point by Peter Allen. And Detroit finally is going to bring it out center ice. Here's Todd Simon trying to pull away. Simon crisscrosses there with Ian Herbers. He goes into the corner on the far side. It's actually Michel Mongeau. Left it there for Simon. Simon dumped into the front of the net. Great play by Derek Wilkinson. He went high on the stick and poked it away. Into the corner. Hayward now has a chance to clear. Got it near side to Serge Aubin. Not very many whistles so far in this second period. We have had continuous action. Brad Shaw stepped around a man in the Lumberjack blue line, tipped it into the corner. Aubin ripped that around the boards. Not out there. At the right point, Jeff Perrin plays it deep into the Cleveland end. And Ward in behind the goal. That bounced away from the Detroit player. And the Lumberjacks tip it out to center ice. In the neutral zone, the Vipers head back. Ed Ward unable to control. Sergei Samsonov dumped it right wide. And the Vipers again control their own zone. Ahead to Ed Ward. He's bumped right at the blue line. Good play there by Ryan Savoia. And the loose puck, Vipers get it again. That's center ice. Play kind of ragged into the neutral zone. Now Ed Ward in over the line. Takes it to the near side corner. Throw it right through the goal line. Now over on the far side. Shot penalty coming up against the Lumberjacks. And as Eddie Patterson touches up, we've got a Detroit power play coming when we return here on the Jags Hockey Network.